Hey, what's up guys, I'm MCK, MCK. So today I'm gonna make a video about how I build a racing quad. So this is probably my first time making video like this, and of course I know a lot of people asked me to make a build video or something like that, so I finally got enough time to do it, so I'm making this video. So today I will show you guys full tutorial about how I build the quads, so hope you guys like it. So the parts that I'm gonna use is 533 Switchback Pro with the light arms, and I always use this frame and I'm absolutely love it. So they are super light and super strong, so I think it's the best choice for the frames right now. And for the motors, I'm gonna use X20x2207 2050 kV motors. They are also super light but really powerful, so I think it's really good choice for the 6S setup. And for the ESCs, I'm gonna use Foxer Reaper 60 amp ESCs. So it's basically 30x30 ESCs, but 20x20 hole sizes. So I was have desync issues with other ESCs before, but I fixed desync with these ESCs. So also they are really durable, so I really like them. And flight controller, I'm gonna use Foxer F722. So what I really like about this flight controller is like a camera pinouts or RX or VTX, whatever. So they are perfect for the racing builds. So it's really easy to wiring for the VTX and camera, everything. So it's awesome. So for the camera that I'm gonna use is 533 Foxer Predator V5 Nano. I recently switched to this, and I will tell you guys the reason. So as you guys know, racing frames are super tight builds and really small. So if you don't flip the camera connectors and ESA connectors gonna touch. So if you slightly bend standoffs, so you're gonna break all of the connectors, so you have to swap to new ESCs and to new camera, and I don't want to do that. So for the solution about that is just flip the camera, but this camera comes with the already flipped camera settings in it. So when you went to race, and with the normal camera, when you swap the camera, and then you have to change the camera setting to a flip, but with this camera, just plug the camera and then set your camera tilt and just go. So it's just really good, I think. So for the VTX and receiver, I'm gonna use Immersion RC hybrid board. So it's a duo, but I'm gonna use one antennas for receiver. They work perfect for practice, but for the race I always use two antennas, but for practice it doesn't matter. And for the VTX antenna that I'm gonna use is Lumineer XC2 antennas. So this is the antenna that I always use for practice and racing, and they always give me perfect video, and I think it's the best. And for the 3D parts, I'm gonna use for the antennas, camera mounts, and total fin. So I will put all the link for the parts, and let's start the build. Okay, so let's build the frame first. So take the arms. Frames. And for the screws, I'm gonna use some of these, but not all of them. So these are for the standoffs. And okay, so the nylon nuts, I'm not gonna use this. And stack screws, these are 25mm, but I prefer to use 20mm screws, so I'm gonna use this one. So it's aluminum screws, also it's a little bit lighter, like 3 grams, but I always prefer to build lighter quads, so I always use aluminum screws. So you have to put the stack screws first with this frame. So I'm gonna need nuts. It's 4 of them. So let's put it in. Okay, this is good. And I'm gonna do same thing for the 3 things left. Okay, so it's done. So I mounted stack screws with the plastic nuts, and now it's time to make the wiggle plates mount with these middle plates. So the screws that I'm gonna use is full of them, countersunk screws, and you're gonna need standoffs. I'm gonna use black one. So with these screws, just put it in here and put the stand-ups. And I'm gonna do the same thing for these 3 things left. Okay, so once you did it, and now it's time to mounting the arms, the wiggle plates. Like this. Now I'm gonna use these screws. We're gonna need 6 of them, so I'm just gonna tighten them. Okay, so once we mounted the arms, everything perfectly, so now we're just gonna use these 2 screws, go to the middle, so it stays stronger, and also this makes our more stiffer, so it's better for tuning. Okay, so now it's time to mounting the stacks. And I will put these wires between the stacks like this. Perfect. So now we're gonna need the nuts. Okay, it's perfect. And for the XT60 cable, I'm gonna use like this. So it's basically normal XT60 cable, but capacitor under here. So I will put the picture right here. So basically just soldering capacitor directly to the XT60. So, and put the heat shrink so it stays perfect, which is just mounting with the electrical tape. So I always use like this, and they are super strong, so I never break any capacitor, so prop doesn't touch anything. So I really like the mounting like this. So we're gonna soldering the XT60 cable first. So this length should be fine. So we cut it right here. And make sure cut it same length. Now I need a soldering iron. Just twist them and give some soldering. And for the soldering iron, I'm gonna use 400 degrees. And make sure it gives enough solder to the wire. Okay, it's perfect. So now, just gonna give solder to the ESC pad. Like this. And same to the other side. Just soldering to ground is here, so you have to hit it first. Soldering. It's perfect. This the other side. Perfect. So the XT60 cable is ready. And now it's time to soldering the motors. So it's kind of hard to soldering with the cameras out here, but I'll try my best. And the same thing to the other side. And once you did it, and it's time to mounting the motors. And for the motor screws, I'm gonna use this aluminum screws, 8mm. So I'm gonna need 8 of them. 7, 8. So they're a little bit lighter, but as I said, I prefer to build lighter quad as they are slightly faster. So I always use aluminum screws for motors too. So let's mount to the motors. But with the aluminum screws, if you tighten too hard, you're gonna strip the screws or you can break the screws, so be careful. So now we're gonna need electrical tape to mounting the motor's cable. Starting from the bottom. And I always like the finishing at the bottom so it looks clean. It's kind of wasting tape, but yeah, I prefer to look clean. So yeah, once you did it, now it's time to soldering. Okay, it's perfect. The other cable. And I'm gonna do the same thing for the 3 lamps here. Okay, so it's done for soldering motor wires. So now it's time to soldering the camera wires. So as you guys can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cables. But all we're gonna need is power, ground, video, just camera cables, just to be safe. But for the purple cable, we are not gonna need it, so we'll just take this thing off. Okay. We're not gonna need this thing. I will put the camera wires between the stacks. So like this. So you can leave the wires super clean, so it doesn't touch anything. I'll just cut it here. Okay. And now we're soldering the camera wire. Okay, so once I did it, now I'm just gonna mount the camera. So with this camera screws, I'm just gonna need 2 of them, and 1.5 with these upside down. And I will tighten the screws really hard after putting into these standoffs. So just plug the cameras and make sure to twist cables, put it into the standoffs. Okay, once I did it, and then just tighten this camera screws. Yep, I think it's good. So now we're just gonna soldering the IRC Ghost cable. For the Ghost hybrid board, these wires are super easy. So there is a red, black, yellow, and green. So red go to the 5V and black go to the ground, and this yellow goes to the video, and this green go to TX, whatever, like TX2 or TX5, whatever on the flight controller. But I'm gonna use TX5 at the back of here. So just 4 wires and VCX and receiver just ready to go. So it's super easy. So I'm just gonna solder them down. And once you did it, after, make sure check if they didn't breach. So okay, so it looks good. So it's ready, and I will show you guys how I mount this Ghost and VCX antennas. So put this UFL in here. Hope you guys can see. So here's the UFL connectors to VCX, and I just gonna add solder to the board so UFL doesn't come out. So it's super easy. So little more here, and you just solder, add solder here to EFL. I'll remove the camera so you guys can see better. Just gonna add solder this to here. So with this, so as you guys can see, I add solder right here, so they will not come out. And for the hybrid board, I'm gonna mount on the top plates. So just gonna mount like here. So it's just double side tape. Now just push. The Switchback Pro top plate mounted perfect with the hybrid board on the top plate with just double side tape. This is how I always mount. And we're gonna need zip ties to mounting the antenna mount. So I prefer to mounting RX antennas on the top plate, so it's always super easy to swap. Okay, it's perfect. So mounting the RX antennas on the top plate like this, and VGX antenna is gonna mount right here with the 3D prints. So it's actually almost done. I'm gonna need top plate screws. I'm gonna need 4 of them. Before we do that, we're gonna tighten the flight controller with these plastic nuts, full of them. Okay, so now it's done. So just plug the hybrid board. Make sure to twist the cable. So which is really easy to swap to new hybrid board is just unplug. And just if you break this, just change the new hybrid board and just plug in. So it's super easy to change. So it's really good for the racing quad. So we're just gonna mount with the 3D prints. And now put it in to stand-ups. And put this camera setting connectors to inside of here. And now if I tighten the screws, it's ready to go. is done. So looks really clean, and just put these settings in it and it should be ready to go. So hopefully you guys like it, and if you guys want more video like this and I can make a video like this more in the future, also the next time I will try to make a video about how I tune my quad, and I will show you guys all the settings that I use for racing. Thank you for watching, and I will leave the link for the every parts that I used today. So see you guys in the next video. Thank you.